Are you ready?
I am ready.
All right, here we go.
All right.
Hack it up, man. Hack it up. Clean off the microphone. All right, here we go.
Welcome to the Greatest Lists podcast, a show about music and lists. This season, your hosts Jason and Eric are counting down the top 25 guitar solos of the 80s and the top 25 guitar solos of the 90s. Think your favorite made the list? Tune in and find out. Take it away, boys.
Welcome back to Season 2 of Greatest Lists, a music and talk podcast featuring lists of the greatest songs of all time. I am Jason, your host for this episode, and joining me, as always, it's my co-host Eric. How are you?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm doing well. Hey, let me let you in on a little secret, okay? Just get a little closer to the microphone.
Okay.
They say to really free your body,
No.
you've got to free your mind.
Why didn't I fell for it again.
So come on,
Why did you do this to me?
check this out. But before you check this out, here's a little plug. We got to put it in here.
Oh, yes.
This episode is sponsored by HalloweenCostumes.com. Which features the largest online selection of Halloween costumes on the web. And that is a true statement. Okay? And speaking of the 80s, since we're in the 80s, Eric, they've got a lot of 80s music costumes over there.
Really?
Everything from Salt and Pepper to Kiss. Yeah, if you can think about it, if it's a popular, musician from back in the day, Madonna, Prince.
How does one dress up as Salt and Pepper?
You got that like leather jacket that's yellow and white and red.
Oh my god!
The big red boots and the black spandex pants.
Dude, if we lived in the same town, you and I would go with Salt and Pepper.
I don't know about that, but
No,
I just saw over there too on HalloweenCostumes.com. They have a Slash hat, and I think the wig, the hair, comes with it too.
Nice.
So if you want to, find some ripped jeans and a
I would
jean
just wear that
jacket
just every day.
Yeah, why not, man?
I mean, why not?
There's just a ton of costumes over there. If you want to, do something music related this year. MC Hammer. Oh, they got the MC Hammer pants over there.
Well, I used to have those without being a costume. I'm not even lying.
Yeah, heavy metal stuff. You want to go to Axl? They have an Axl.
Oh gosh.
A get up too with the bandana, and the Zubaz pants.
Oh my gosh.
Or this is great too. If you just want to go as a huge boom box, you can do that as well.
That's the best
So,
right there.
Anyway, the best part is you use the link in our show notes. You're going to save 15% off everything in your cart. And it's real easy. You click over. You really don't even have to do anything like enter a code. Some sites you got to enter this promo code, whatever. The savings are already in your cart when you click over and use that link in the show notes. But you got to do it before Halloween, October 31st. That's when it expires. But
Spooky season is upon us.
thank you, HalloweenCostumes.com, for sponsoring us again and the Retro Network again. We're so happy to partner with them, and lots of great stuff over there, guys. So make sure you go check that out. All right, now we can check this out. We are continuing our Season 2 list of the top 25 guitar solos of the 80s with the song from 1988 and the album New Jersey. Coming in at number 20, it's Lay Your Hands on Me by Bon Jovi.
Behind the music.
So our spotlight today is on guitarist Richard Steven Sambora. Richie to his friends,
Richie.
of course. Inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame with his bandmates in 2018. It was a long road that started at age 6 when he was playing accordion.
I can't see that.
No. He was another one in our list of guitar players, essentially, that was affected by the death of Jimi Hendrix and decided at age 12 to pick up the guitar. He also now plays many other instruments: drums, bass, saxophone, and piano, which I did not know about him. But,
wow.
I guess you could add a talk box to that as well.
Yes.
Sambora's professional career started out as a guitarist for the band Message, that put out an independent record called Lessons in 1982. Yep. He was later in the band Mercy, which was signed to the Led Zeppelin-owned record label Swan Song Records, and then he was later in Duke Williams and the Extremes, which I guess it was another band. I hadn't really looked that one up. He actually was part owner of a club in New Jersey at age 19 and owned his own independent record label, Dream Disc Records. He first professionally started touring as an opening act for Joe Cocker in the early 80s, and then shortly before joining Bon Jovi, get this, Sambora unsuccessfully auditioned for Kiss to be Ace Frehley's replacement.
That I knew.
I did not know that one.
Yeah.
So he joined Bon Jovi in 1983, replacing the band's original lead guitarist, Dave Sabo, who went on to form Skid Row.
Yep.
Sambora was impressed with Bon Jovi after seeing the band perform live, describing the band as magic, and he subsequently approached John backstage and gave him a verbal resume. Though Sambora initially believed that John wasn't interested in him, he received a phone call several days later inviting him to rehearse with the band. When John arrived and heard the band with Sambora, he hired him on the spot. That night, the pair returned to Bon Jovi's mother's house and wrote the songs Come Back and Burning Love, both of which appeared on the band's debut album.
Yep.
So there's a little history there. He has also released 3 solo albums, which I didn't know. Stranger in This Town in 91, Uncovered Soul in 98, and Aftermath of the Lowdown in September of 2012.
Yeah, that first one is hot, too.
Is it? Okay.
Oh, my gosh, yes.
Here's a fun fact. Sambora composed the television theme songs for Entertainment Tonight and The Insider. Did not know that. I learned a lot going back and learning about Mr.
He's a man of many talents.
Richard Steven Sambora.
A man of many talents.
He departed Bon Jovi in 2013 and has only played with them once since then, and that was at the Rock Hall ceremony. He has stated that his reason for leaving the band was in order to give his family more of his attention. So nothing, didn't have a big fallout there as far as I can tell, but so family reasons is why he left. He's been known to use a wide variety of guitars throughout his career. He has an extensive collection, over 130, about a third of which are Fender Strat models. But when I think of Sambora, I picture him with that double neck, either electric or acoustic,
Yeah.
One of the big moments, at least I remember in music as a kid in the 80s, was their acoustic version of Wanted Dead or Alive on the
MTV
Music Awards.
Yep.
And he had that big double neck acoustic there. And I don't know, I was just always fascinated that, oh, wow, you can go down or up and you got it tuned differently. And that really never struck me until I, tried to start playing. I was like, wow, how cool is that? Anyway.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of Lay Your Hands on Me, there are a couple alternate versions that caught my attention. The first is an acoustic version that's on the 2013 album, This Left Feels Right, which is kind of like new ballads put together of their hits. So they kind of bring it down. Most of it's acoustic with some of their big hits, and they did this one. It's got a real kind of country feel almost.
Yeah.
But the other one, which I couldn't believe happened, was a Dolly Parton gospel cover of this song for her 2014 album, Blue Smoke. She told Entertainment Weekly in an interview, quote, "I always loved the song, but the first time I heard it, because I grew up in a Pentecostal church where people believe in healing hands and laying your hands on someone, I just thought, wow, that would make a fantastic gospel song." So she said John wrote a really nice note that he loved the way it turned out. So, unquote. She does. I went out and listened to it. She changes the lyrics, to make it more gospel.
Yeah.
But it's It's crazy. I had no idea that existed.
She can't do anything wrong. I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, I'm sure it's good because it's Dolly Parton.
It's true.
Let's get personal.
All right, so my first experience with Bon Jovi was my friend Scott, who lived next door to me growing up. He'd often, and I'm putting in quotes here, borrow tapes from his brother, and we would play them in his room. And I remember listening to Slippery When Wet and really enjoying it. And then, of course, hearing the songs on the radio. Right. Later in the 80s, I think I've mentioned before, too, that my baseball coach, my Little League baseball coach, was a surprising influence in my my musical taste. He was a large African-American man. He would roll into practice in his white Chevy S10 Blazer with New Jersey just cranked to the max.
Nice.
And I remember hearing the song one day, and we were all kind of huddled around his Blazer, and he's playing air guitar on the steering wheel and everything. And I mean, so influential. Your coach anyway, somebody you look up to,
right,
and then you want to. It was. He broke all the stereotypes that I had at that point with music, and just hearing him jam out to Bon Jovi is something that would be just etched in my brain to this day. So those two albums, Slippery When Wet and New Jersey, are the ones I mainly go to. Plus, there's a few songs from Keep the Faith that I really like from their, that was 92 when that one came out.
Right.
Those are the ones that I, typically go to when I need a Bon Jovi fix. But let's hear your side with your experience with Bon Jovi.
I've been listening to Bon Jovi since that first album. I really started listening to him when 7,800 Degrees Fahrenheit came out. Slippery When Wet. But I really for me, their best album is this one, is New Jersey.
Yeah.
And I saw them twice on this tour. And that's just such a, I don't think there's a bad song on that album.
No. I was actually going to say that later.
I can't. Oh, sorry.
No, it's fine. No, there's not a bad song on it.
I can't think of one that's on that album. So yeah, it's just a great album. And I've always been a huge fan of Bon Jovi, especially. So my senior year of high school, the band I was in, we played at the talent show, and the guy that was my guitar teacher at the time, he had a talk box, and he taught me how to play it, taught me how to use it. And so we were the last act on the bill of the talent show, and then we were supposed to play something as the crowd was walking out. Mm-hmm. And so we worked up Living on a Prayer and started it. And as soon as I started playing that talk box lick at the beginning of the song, the crowd quit leaving the auditorium. They stopped and listened to the song. So yeah, I've been a huge fan of Bon Jovi since the beginning, and of Richie Sambora. That, like I just said a few minutes ago, that first solo album of his is just ridiculous. He can play the blues like nobody's business, and he can sing like nobody's business.
Oh yeah,
I think. Yeah. In my book, he's a better singer than John.
Oh gosh, yeah. See, we're thinking about the same things here.
Yeah,
and we haven't gotten to the song yet, but his harmony to John is so good, and I really need to go out and listen to some of his solo work and just hear him sing. But he compliments John so well, and John, he's kind of one of those singers that is just kind of up there in that range. He doesn't have a wide range. He can either do it kind of softly, his voice, but he's always kind of up there. And after listening to it like New Jersey the whole way through, my ears are just blown out by John. But there's some songs that they just work. The ballads really work so good together.
Yeah.
I'll be here for you. Oh yeah. It's just crazy the way that they go back and forth, and you can hear it in like Wanted Dead or Alive and some of those other ones where he's doing that.
John's a good singer and he's a great frontman, but Richie he can sing like nobody's business.
The breakdown.
All right, so I picked this solo because it's one of the longer ones in their singles. There's just a great pre-solo, I'll call it, with that 3-beat rhythm where they're like dun dun dun, and then he just goes for it. He plays those awesome little licks.
Yeah.
And then you get the solo that just kind of blares your ears out, and some great techniques. He jumps from the top to the bottom, and at a lower tone too. I guess going from the top neck to the bottom neck, he's got it tuned differently, so you can hear it kind of at the end when he drops down. It's the tone of the guitar is a little bit lower as they go back into the pre-chorus verse.
Yeah.
So, it's just so great. A lot of people, when I go to arenas, you're hearing "Living on a Prayer," and they'll put it up on the screen to give you your best air guitar. I don't think that's the best song to do the air guitar to, because it's so short.
Yeah.
And it's an awesome song. I'm not trying to diss the song, but there's so many more, I think, Bon Jovi songs that are that give you longer and just more powerful solos that I'll put in the bonus songs. But man, the solo is just really great.
He never gets mentioned when people start talking about great guitar players from the 80s. He never gets mentioned. People always go to Eddie and Zakk Wylde, or all the big names that everybody talks about, and they never mention Ricky Sambora. But he's a really good guitar player. He's not overly technical, but he's tricky. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but he has a lot of tricks that he puts into his solos, like his whammy bar and all of his pinch harmonics. Mm-hmm. He just does a lot of stuff, but he's a really good guitar player, and he doesn't get enough credit for that part of it. Mm-hmm. And so like one of the two shows I saw for this tour, one of them was, they were both general admission, so you had to get in the doors and run as fast as you could to get as close as you could. Right. And one of the shows, we were on the second row, and we were standing on his side of the stage watching him play, and he was just, watching somebody play live is a lot different than just listening to him on an album.
That's right.
Because they've been sitting in a studio and they've had 17 takes of the same solo, and they can get it right. He was still playing all that stuff live in concert. He was still pulling it off. Mm-hmm. He was impressive. So this was one of my favorite shows in concert, and then this is one of my favorite songs in concert. This is one of my favorite songs on the album.
Oh yeah, it's hard. There's a couple Bon Jovi songs that kind of I'll switch in and out as my favorite all time, but this is definitely up there. There's so much I love about the song outside of the guitar solo, how it fades in. This is the opening track, but to get a song that fades in, you get that awesome drum pattern. Yeah. I went back and was watching some live performances on YouTube. I think there's one from the early 90s that's just awesome, and they keep that going. And it's actually, I think it's like a backing track.
Yeah, it's a track.
But then
but they all start playing over it.
Yeah, well, when the drummer's name just left me.
Tico Torres.
Yes. When Tico comes in and he starts matching that pattern, and then they drop the backing track, it's good. It's really good. But the guitar licks and all the effects that's going back and forth between the speakers too at the beginning of the song is so good. And then organ, man, we get the organ. Oh, I love it with this song.
Yeah.
You get that main riff during the verse. It's just killer. How he just starts right into it, and the lead guitar and the organ kind of play off each other there during the song. You can hear it most in the pre-chorus where the satisfaction is guaranteed part, and you can hear the organ if you really listen, hear the organ in Richie going back and forth. But the crowd kind of backing vocals almost sounds like a choir at some points.
That's the best part of that right there, is how big those backing vocals sound. It just sounds like a gang behind them singing that.
And then after you're getting your ears blown out, you get that cold ending with just John's vocals. And then if you don't hear the opening bars to Bad Medicine, you're doing it wrong, when he finishes, because that's what goes through my mind. You're ready to go right into Bad Medicine.
That's amazing.
The last song.
I love it.
Love the song, man. Love it.
Yeah, I agree.
So, man, Lay Your Hands on Me comes in at number 20 on our top 25 guitar solos of the 80s. It's weird, man. Like, I know we've already set the list, but there's some of these I keep hearing. I'm like, man, that should be higher. Man,
I thought the same thing too. Yeah.
But we're just going to leave it the way it is. We got it set. So, Richie Sambora comes in at number 20. Some bonus songs for this episode. There's one I nearly picked over this that just screams 80s to me.
What is it?
That's Raise Your Hands from Slippery When Wet. I would have put it in our season 1 list if we didn't include the rule that it had to be released on an official soundtrack, because Spaceballs never got a soundtrack. And every time I hear Raise Your Hands, I think of Barf. The first time we see him in the Winnebago, he's there with that box of Milk-Bone dog biscuits under his arm, just munching, and he's jamming out, and then you hear Lone Star calling him. He's like, "Oh, always when I'm eating."
Oh my gosh, I can't remember. I can't believe that.
I love that song so much, and having that tie-in the guitar solo on that is really, really good too. So not to take anything away from that, because I love Spaceballs, but we're going to jump back to New Jersey too, because Born to Be My Baby has another great solo that's even longer than Lay Your Hands on Me. Just tasty. I mean, I don't think he does tapping much. It sounds like maybe there's a little bit of tapping in this, but oh man, it's just so great. The solo in Born to Be My Baby. So those are the two bonus songs, and you'll hear them both in their entirety if you've got Spotify Premium, like we always say. If you don't have Spotify Premium, you'll hear just a little bit. That'll make you want to go to our show notes and click those song whip links that we got there for you, so you can go out and listen in your favorite music app. If you like the show, please subscribe and leave a rating. That you're probably a subscriber at this point, but if you're not, obviously subscribe, but please leave us a rating too. You can do that in Spotify. You can do it in Apple Music. There's a lot of other apps now. Just click that star rating. It helps us get up the charts.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you want to support us, get your name in the show notes. Patreon.com/The Retro Network is our home base. Find us on X. I just thought if you combine the two, it would be Twix.
Twix.
Go find us on Twix.
Oh, Twix.
At Greatest Lists. YouTube, Greatest Lists. That's where you can find Eric's 100 albums, 100 days. That's almost finishing up.
My big ugly mug.
Man, it's still fun to watch and hear your reaction to all these. And discover ones. There's some that I'm like, okay, I got to put that on the list. I got to get a listen to that now.
That's the best part of it.
So, and then you can also find us greatestlistpodcast.com. Eric will be back for the hosting duties on the next show, our number 19 pick. Get ready for a trip to the zoo, man.
That's right.
Thanks for listening to Greatest Lists, and we look forward to continuing our list of the top 25 guitar solos of the 80s on the next episode.
You've been listening to The Greatest Lists.